Next on the docket bill for us this evening is Caleb Williams in Chicago. Is Ben Johnson looking at his clock now and thinking time has run out, Caleb? We're 2 games into the season. Brand new head coach in Ben Johnson over at the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, who was drafted last year, not a great starting season. Just like we were just saying about the Bengals, though, they were struggling to protect him. They put a lot of money into it this offseason. They lost 52-21 against the Lions over the weekend, Andrew. And Caleb for the day, 19 for 30, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, got sacked 4 times. I mean, already the call is out there already that Johnson might be thinking that Caleb isn't the guy for Chicago. And what seems to be the issue with Caleb Williams at the minute?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily Caleb Williams isn't the guy for Chicago. I don't think Caleb Williams is the guy for Ben Johnson. I don't think he fits the scheme. We talk about like other teams and how they play. I know we talk about Shanahan and quarterbacks that just slot in there and they fit the scheme and they do well. I think it's the same with Ben Johnson. I think, you know, when you watch how they start games and the scripted plays, you know, the first quarter, they've got like X amount of scripted plays. The Chicago Bears are what? In game 1, scored on the opening drive. In game 2, scored on the opening drive. And Caleb Williams looked good on the opening drives of both those games. So the scripted plays from Ben Johnson work. And then as the game goes on and it's more Caleb Williams and he's got to ad-lib and do all of that, that's when it starts falling apart. So I think it's he might not be the right guy for him, not the Bears, because I do think Caleb Williams is good. You know, he's super athletic. He's got a cannon of an arm. It just, he relies on, from college when we watched him, being able to make it the Caleb Williams show and run around and ad-lib and using athleticism and create stuff that way. And that's just not going to fly in that offense. And it's just when will be the time that he wants to give up on Caleb Williams and say, he's not my guy. I didn't draft him. My play calling works. I want to get my guy. Or does Caleb Williams say, do you know what? This isn't working for me. I need to adapt. It depends which one comes around first, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the term that gets bandied around a lot is system quarterback, isn't it? And, you know, sometimes you don't fit the system and sometimes you fit the system absolutely perfectly. We see that many quarterbacks. We say it a lot on this show. You can be a competent quarterback in the right system and win the Super Bowl. You can see there's a lot of quarterbacks that have done that. And Caleb at the minute, Adam, it just feels like this isn't exactly a marriage made in heaven. I mean, I feel bad for the dude. Like last year, it was just a car crash of coaching incapability. And he was just fed to the wolves and obviously came out with such hype. I mean, people were saying it was going to be Patrick Mahomes light, basically. And there's elements of his game that I watched in his highlights where I was like, I can see that. But Mahomes is just a lot better at going off script and ad-libbing. And then when you look at it on the other side, Patrick Mahomes, it's unfair to compare to, but Mahomes is never had always the best offensive guys. He has some good offensive guys, but then you look on like DJ Moore, Rome Dunze, Luther Burden. You got 2 tight ends who are pretty great. Colston Loveland, the rookie, and Cole Kmet as well. You got a competent run game that seems to be working, which we knew was going to happen with Ben Johnson. We saw what happened at the Detroit Lions. And Andrew's right. They start off very well, and it seems to be, as the game progresses, it's not like Caleb grows into the game. He almost deflates into the game. Is that what you see?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that does seem to be what happens in most of the time. And I think that happened a lot last year. And you kind of hoped that obviously a lot of people put it down to the coaching. A lot of people put it down to the lack of talent around him and that there needed to be more playmakers. I feel like, you know, fair play to Ryan Poles here. I feel like he couldn't have done much more for this team. It's like there's been serious investment put into the O-line. There's, as you said, you've got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. You do have Luther Burden as well that they drafted early. And, you know, they're good at tight end as well. They've got 2 really good tight ends. And it does kind of feel a little bit like, well, maybe some of the problems aren't the players that are around him. Maybe, you know, they thought, okay, it's the coaching. And the coaching was bad last year. It's fair enough. But they come out and go, okay, so the coaching is a problem. So we go and we get arguably the best offensive coordinator that there's been around in many, many years. And they come out and go, right, let's get him in. So now you've got all this talent around him. You've got all this talent protecting him, and you've got the best coach that you could have got hold of at the time. And yet still we're going, there's a problem here. And you do have to start questioning, maybe it's him. And although I think that he was given a lot of hype, maybe there is just an element that he's not quite as good as what we all thought he was going to be.
Because it's a strange trend, isn't it? Because we say it a lot on here that, you know, college guys are now, we feel a little bit more ready than ever to work in the NFL. Yes, you do have some players where you go, they're not quite NFL ready. They're going to be a good project, but they're going to get there. They've got the talent. They're going to get there. And we actually don't, I don't think we do talk enough sometimes about the players that they just don't get it. They just don't progress well. And there's several players who I think we talk about, us three included, about players we talk about quite fondly because we remember them when they were getting drafted. You guys specifically remember watching the tape on them, remember seeing how good they were. And really, they're just not working out. But in the same vein, on this podcast, we've talked about how Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, these guys didn't hit straight away. Maybe there needs to be more patience, Andrew. Maybe there needs to be a little bit more like slow the brakes and let's get this going. And for Caleb, maybe it needs to be that as well. But yeah, he's got that talent in there, but he wasn't NFL ready. Maybe we hyped him up to be more NFL ready than he was in the first place. Yes, this coach and this quarterback might not be matching here, but Ben Johnson's only had 2 weeks in this, of the main season. Caleb has had a whole season last year. Okay, coaching disaster, but your talent can take you a little bit far as well. And the talent on occasion wasn't really there. And we're 2 games into this season with a coordinator, like Adam said, who was he was the bell of the ball, wasn't he, in this offseason? And is Caleb, is Caleb meant to be the one that he's going to prom with? It feels let me throw some of these stats out here for you. 24th in completion percentage so far this year, 61.5%. That's the league average at the minute, 65.1. So he's 24th there. 22nd in yards with 417. 20th in first downs, he only has 20. 18th in QBR at 57.5%. Do you know who's got similar stats? Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler was better, wasn't he?
But a week ago, I'd sit here today and say that Caleb Williams is 10 times the quarterback that Spencer Rattler is. But if you're looking on the stat line, we've got an issue on our hands here.
Yeah, I mean, it's quick to say he's a bust and he's not going to work because the attributes are there. Like I say, everything we saw at college, the athleticism, the arm is there. He's not with the right guy. I think he needs fine polishing and fine tuning of, if you are ad-libbing, and we are going to ad-lib quite a lot, then when you do it, you need to know that punting is okay. You need to know that just throwing the ball is all right. You don't have to hero ball all the time, because that was a lot of the knocks on Mahomes, but when he came out of Texas Tech, that hero ball and holding on the ball too long and a couple of decision making, they were his issues as well. So if he's with the right guy that wants to say, do you know what, we want our guy to do that and we want him to do this, then they need to be taught how to do that well and use his skill set out of it. And Ben Johnson's not that guy. You're in the system, you're doing these plays, these are what I've designed up, this is how it works, go out there and do it. So that's where it is. They just don't mesh and they just don't gel well together. So I think Caleb Williams, if this wasn't to work and they moved on, can have success and be that quarterback that progresses and pushes on that we think he can be. I just don't think it's with Ben Johnson in Chicago at the minute. And then you've got the other issue as well of the guy that's sat behind him on the bench waiting to come on, and Tyson Badgett, which Ben Johnson sung so highly of in the off season about his training camp and how well he played and how good of a guy he is and what he does. And I mean, if you follow him on social media, that guy's an absolute workhorse. And this might become a bit of a story and a bit of drama in a couple of weeks or very soon, that maybe Badgett is more the guy that Ben Johnson wants over Williams.
Well, you've absolutely read my mind, because that was going to be my next question about the noise that surrounded Tyler Badgett before the season started. He got that contract extension. He went to the podium in tears. You know, dreams are made of this sort of thing. You know, dreams are not made of being a backup quarterback, pal. They're not. Your dream is to be a starting quarterback for an NFL franchise. It's not to be the backup. You want to be the guy in the spotlight. But he, like you said, workhorse, got that contract, very humble. Johnson spoke so highly of him. Yeah, words like that matter, don't they, Adam? They do matter. And, you know, on the flip side of it, Caleb Williams in the media, you know, nail varnish, attitude. You know, for me, I think that's all absolute bullshit. We don't know what the guy is actually like. You can make all these assumptions about these random things, but we don't really know what the guy's like in the building. But, you know, when the media's out there saying, look at Tyler Badgett at workhorse, crying on the podium, this is what dreams are made of, and then Caleb Williams is the sort of, you know, modern day young man, like these things do matter in the NFL. Not to me myself, but they do matter to some franchises.
Yeah, I think what the media says, I think what we say is completely irrelevant, to be honest, with most organisations.
Right, rule one of podcasting is usually
well, don't say that we're irrelevant. We are, trust me. I think that's for organisations, they don't care really about that unless the noise gets so loud that they kind of get forced into doing something. But if you're a decent organisation, you wouldn't let that happen. I think what the head coach says, whether it be during season or off season, I think that's the important thing. And the fact that he was so glowing about Badgett and so sort of like saying how great he was, and probably had a certain amount of time and effort in the decision that was made in order to re-sign him and to give him the contract that he got. I mean, I can't imagine that Ben Johnson would have come out and said, no, I don't like him, and then they go, oh, well, we're going to sign him anyway. So it kind of makes sense that he obviously likes him. I think that Badgett is probably a little bit more Jared Goff-like as well in the way that he plays. And it's like, you got to remember, he's come from having Jared Goff as his quarterback, and that's not Caleb Williams by any stretch. You know, that's a really different style quarterback that you've got going on here. So, yeah, I think that there is an element of that. And like you say, the words that Ben Johnson comes out and says do matter. And he obviously feels that he's got a decent backup who potentially could come in and do more.
Because usually what people would say is the fix of this, really, if you're not winning games, is he's on a rookie quarterback contract, splash the money, get better on defense. They splashed out on the O-line. DJ Moore's on a good contract. They've got a pretty good pot of money to be able to improve their team. But unfortunately, that money is not going to improve the quarterback if he's not good. And that's not, and he looked like deer in headlights in this game a lot of times, and he's looked like that a few times within his playing career so far in the NFL. And it's got to, if Ben Johnson in a way, this is a big. We're talking about that in our other segment, Zach Taylor, and can he be more than the Joe Burrow show by having Jake Browning and being successful with him? Well, how much credit would Ben Johnson get if he can turn around Caleb Williams? Like, is he going to be the type of coach, do we think, where he is cut and bait, that we will move on from him, I need my guy? Or is Ben Johnson going to be the coach that goes, no, there is something in him, we just need to have that time? I think some coaches in this league are very much happy to take on the project and to progress and to create, to mold the players within their vision. And some are just wanting their dudes. They're just wanting their guys for their team. And he's not got the hugest experience in the world, Ben Johnson, especially being a head coach, but even as a coordinator. But he's seen what's worked He transformed the Detroit Lions alongside a head coach that is known for his culture, obviously. And then on the other side of it, he had a fantastic defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn. And it'll be interesting for both these coordinators what their style, what they're going to be like stylistically for their franchises moving forward. It's fascinating, especially for I enjoy watching Chicago because I like Chicago and I have friends who are Bears fans, and it's definitely a team that I always like to keep an eye on because I'd like to see him succeed. And Ben Johnson, I think, has definitely got the it factor, hasn't he?
Can I just say before we wrap up this bit that a Packers fan defending the Bears quarterback is not something that you normally hear, but you're going to. I do feel that this organization has not helped him at all. They have in this last little bit by actually investing, but this at the beginning, to me, they've done exactly the same as what they did to Justin Fields. And we saw how much of a disaster that was in Chicago.
And Mitch Trubisky before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing again. They've gone out and they've got a rookie quarterback. And I know he was the number one pick. And I know there's always going to be a clamour for the number one pick to play. I understand that. But you can't just throw them out there with a real lack of quality around them and expect them to suddenly be able to do everything. Sometimes it works. Jaden Daniels, we saw it work. Caleb Williams, it hasn't. And
any danger that this organization is falling into the
exact same
Cleveland Browns, New York Jets sort of how bad the organizations are run, because they've had first round picks and talent and then had players move on and have success.
Yeah, it's going down that route again, and it's just that thing where it's like, what are you doing? I've got a real thing about why are you drafting a quarterback and then you've got a coach on the hot seat as you draft him, and then it doesn't work straight away, and then you get rid of him, and then you employ a new head coach who ends up with a quarterback that they don't want, which is exactly the situation that they could, that's how it's coming across. And it's so stupid. It's like, why are you doing this? And it's like, I know this is going off on a tangent, but me and Andrew, we were talking about Jackson Dart. Don't play him. Leave him on the bench. Let him sit. Yeah. When you come out and you come out in a conversation and you say Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams, and it's the same part of the conversation. What did Patrick Mahomes do? He sat for a year behind Alex Smith. And he learned, and he got a lot of them bad habits that he had in college out of his game.
He did also read though.
The Green Bay Packers are the perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. This is probably why I come out and say it. This is the thing.
They've nailed the blueprint of how to develop a quarterback. You've had like 3 quarterbacks in how many years?
I don't know what else you can do.
And also on that same vein, Andy Reid and Matt LaFleur have changed their styles around what their quarterback can do. Matt LaFleur was like, well, we can't coach out, but Jordan Love's got this cannon of arms, a bit of a gunslinger. So we'll go and just get loads of wide receivers and tight ends who could probably catch the ball if he puts it in that area and make ourselves a real diverse offense and have an incredibly strong running game on top of it. Like DeAndre Swift's okay, but DeAndre Swift's on 4th team now? Like, he's not got a great running game to lean on. We're going to move on to the Kansas City Chiefs anyway in a second, but let's just have a quick look at the next few games for the Bears. We've got the Cowboys coming up this weekend, who shot out like a rocket. They have. And they seem to be finding their feet quite quickly. You're then at the Raiders. You got your very early bye week, horribly early bye week on week 5. You're then at the Commanders. You host the Saints. You're at the Ravens. Like, you maybe keep him till what, like the command. If you've not won a game after the bye week 6, and you're what 0, you lose the week 6 game, and you're 0-5. What do you then going to bench him against the Saints? It's a game that in most of their brains is probably winnable. Like I'm not overly sure.
The rule of thumb is Thanksgiving of his 2nd year, isn't it?
You think it could be that late? Because I feel like
that's usually the rule of thumb for giving someone a long enough chance.
I think they'll probably cut. I personally feel like they'll give him a bit more time, and they'll go for like a Thanksgiving or something like that, because it's. I know I think they're going to come out and the narrative will be, oh, it's going to take a bit of time for the head coach and the quarterback to develop the relationship in order for it to work. And I think that's what they'll probably go down. So he gives him a bit more time.
This is the issue we've got with the Bears, isn't it? That we've overhyped them for the last 2 years.
Oh, well, they win the off season every year, don't they? Isn't that how it works?
And then we're like, oh yeah, they're gonna get in the playoffs. They're gonna do this like every single year. Why can't we just go? Bears are moving well forward. They're doing good. Let's see how they progress through the year. So there's no reason for them to move off of him and try and win games this year, because let's not overhype them and say what they are. Of maybe they only win 6 games. Tick in the box for them. Let's see what you can do next year.
What's Thanksgiving's 26th, isn't it? 26th of November, around then.
Well,
yeah, something like that.
Last Thursday, isn't it? So
yes, that's right. So from the 28th onwards, say they get rid of him from the 28th onwards, they're at the Eagles, at the Packers, host the Browns, host the Packers, at the 49ers, host the Lions. Well, for me, there's only one winnable game in that one. Only one, even with Caleb or with Tyler Badgett. So if you get to Thanksgiving, then drop him, you're not going to learn. You're not then going to turn around and go, oh, Tyler Badgett. Because I think he's going to lose.
But what we're saying is you've seen enough of Williams, so you may as well see what you've got a Badgett before what we want to do for next year. Because if Williams isn't it, and you've given him that long, see what you've got with Badgett, and if it's good enough, then you can roll with him. Or do we need to go out and look at Kirk Cousins? I don't know.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, could well be.